Well, so Andrew Yang is walking back his comments, basically for supporting Israel. I'm sure he's walking on eggshells when he's doing it. But he apologized for his comments, in which he was basically saying this: "I'm standing with the people of Israel who are coming under bombardment attacks and condemn the Hamas terrorists. The people of New York will always stand with our brothers and sisters in Israel who face down terrorism and persevere." So basically, Andrew Yang, I grew up in Manhattan. I'm sure you're in New York. We all kind of like are affected by what's going on in New York or whatever. So they're going to be in a mayoral race, and this guy's Andrew Yang. I've always had my little issues with him. I always thought he was a little on the phony side, and that he what is it caters to the what is it establishment, and like things that are usually establishment Democrat or right wing talking points because he figures it's going to gain him popularity. Well, basically what ended up happening was is a lot of people got, especially New Yorkers, got pissed about it, because a lot of people here are diverse in New York, and they believe that everybody has the right to live. If we're a country that's supposed to be governing all these other different countries or whatever it is, trying to tell them the right way to do things and to be democratic and so on and so forth, and try to like tell people how to live their lives. It's like they're the total contradiction when it comes to Israel. It seems like they don't mind Israel dominating the Palestinians and so on and so forth. So he was approached. I don't have the video for it, which is sad, but he was approached by a bunch of people the other day, complaining about how they don't support what he says. Like he's speaking for himself, not for the people of the United States or the people of New York, because of the fact that they don't agree with that. They believe that this is an aggression by Israel, because they literally started the damn thing. So now, of course, because he's trying to win the race, now he's gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't mean it in that way." Because based on his support towards Israel, and it's I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Like, do you think I really don't want Andrew Yang to be mayor of New York? I know I guess that's a biased way to look at things or whatever it is, but
Well,
since
that's your opinion,
yeah, yeah,
right?
I mean,
No,
yeah, I guess.
don't walk back from it. It's your opinion. And
Yeah.
it's a good opinion because to start it off, I would say that he's a neoliberal libertarian who's
Yeah.
running as a Democrat. And that
Yeah.
is acceptable now because of the current mold of what the Democratic Party has taken in under the Big Tent. So that's why he's got so much press, and that's what's putting his elevating his position in this situation. What's
Yeah.
really disgusting is the fact that he's already speaking for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what pisses me off. Not that he has this position, which I already disagree with. That's a separate thing. That'd be a reason why I wouldn't vote for him, and I personally will not vote for him. We talked before about some of the other candidates. Another one would be Garcia. Another one would be Morales. If you're in New York, these are good candidates in our opinion, or at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this is one of the positives about the new ranked choice voting system. He has to get above 50%,
Yeah.
or we're going to have a runoff. So that's that's the only positive that I have, because otherwise he would win by percentages.
Yeah.
But that also means that most likely somebody's going to have to drop out. One of the good candidates is going to have to drop out to make it so that Garcia or Morales goes over the top and gets to like 30%. And
Yeah.
that's a tough go. And I obviously I do not believe Andrew Yang cares enough about progressive thoughts to be working in New York City. I think it will just keep going in this rotation of um, free market capitalism, as and not even free market capitalism, but I put that in quotation marks. Just this capitalism that we have that assists the marketplace that allows for the continual thought that Israel cannot do any wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. This mainstream media has got people believing all sorts of craziness, right? They barely touch some of the topics regarding Israel and everything. The only thing that they say is positive things like, well, Israel's got to protect themselves and blah 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 blah. This is justified, blah 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 blah. And all the people out there that just watch, Fox News or MSNBC or wherever else, they believe like this is all justified because we got to support Israel. No, we got to support life, right? At the end of the day, we got to make sure that people are safe and protected. That's what our country was claims to be based on, right? That we're against aggressors. But I don't know. How do you feel, Teresa, about that whole thing about Yang and everybody else?
Well, they've had a couple of celebrities that have already spoken out too, and have gotten backlash as well when they've come to their support with Israel. I think of Gal Gadot from Wonder Woman. You know, she was part of Israeli army for a time as well, and she was putting out her support in tweets, and she got a full backlash to the point where she actually stopped comments on the tweet and everything like that because of everybody, saying that she shouldn't be saying this stuff because Israeli's the one doing the attacking and all this other stuff. It's a it's a it's a crazy situation, and I don't think anybody is able to feel like they can speak on it because of the backlash that comes on either side, really. But especially when you're trying to say that you support Israel when they're doing the attacking, they're becoming the aggressor. It's hard to defend them. You can't stand there and say that. It's better that people just take a back seat when it comes to talking about that because it's not going to help them. Andrew Yang learned that. Gal Gadot learned that. It's like you can't say that they're not doing anything or they're just defending them. They're not just defending themselves. They're the ones going out and attacking. They're the ones trying to squash. It feels like they're trying to squash anything, any opposition to them, like under a steel boot, and you can't help but make it feel like these people are just, insects that are getting squashed because of how much damage they're doing to them. And it's sad that there's so many people caught in the crossfire as well.
I understand like why you want to pick your sides or whatever, but at the end of the day, people should pick life over death and ways of avoiding conflict. Like there's a way for them to survive together. They're just choosing not to based on religion and race, and I have a huge issue with that. And the fact that some people look at people from Israel as, oh, they're white and this that they don't look at them as like as if they're Muslim or black or a person of color. They look at it as a yet another white race that needs protection for whatever reason, even though they're being the aggressor in this same thing. There's a lot of similarities with the way we do our policing in the United States that makes me feel like like okay, it's justified for us to kill black people in this country, and it's also justified for them to kill Muslims in their country. There's a lot of weird, I feel like not coincidences, but like they the way they live do their things is just a lot of relationships that just seem super similar. That seems to be considered the norm, which to me I think is a sick thing. Like you're killing children. There's nothing good about
there's an
killing
ideal
children.
of
Go ahead.
there's an ideal ideology of defeating the lesser, the people who that are basically contradicting your life order.
Hmm.
And I think that is prevalent in different societies. It is a mindset where what happens here is the degradation of Black and Latino peoples because they are seen as historically, and I put this in huge quotes, historically being more violent or etc. So they are seen as it being okay for us to vilify them, to call them
Yep.
thugs, to give them large, give the police large breath to police those neighborhoods. While in the same respect, in Israel, they feel like they conquered this land at some point, and that they believe that they have hit that the lesser, the people who are contradicting that they own that area, obviously have to be the aggressors, even
Yeah.
if they are throwing rocks. And this is one of the things that we have to talk about, like proportionality. We're talking about protests that involve people throwing rocks, fireworks, and like mortars that can't do anywhere near the damage of the Iron Dome.
Yep.
So that's why it is really disgusting to have Andrew Yang talk about it as if he's number one, like I said before, talking for all of New York. And that's where it gets really dangerous, because you're saying that I just don't have an opinion. We all agree here in the United States
Yep.
that Israel is okay doing this. And that's just not, it's not true. And it's like something that we have to aggressively fight with every word that we have, that this is a conflict about power and that we need to break this power structure somehow. And I don't know if we mean in a violent means, but at this point, I think we're talking about, are we going to have a one-state solution or not? I mean, I think that's the real discussion that keeps getting punted down the street. We can't keep punting it because the settlers keep coming into these neighborhoods, and either the Palestinians have full rights or they don't.